there was no parking lot at Rattlesnake Point. After pulling off to the side of the road, I got out of my car and made my way up the steep, rocky slope towards the trail. This was no tourist destination. Most people who lived around town didn't even venture up this way, and certainly wouldn't get out of their car and set off into the woods here. But I was a semi-experienced hiker, and felt confident in my $200 hiking shoes, my canteen full of water clipped to my belt, my backpack heavy with the weight of too many carbohydrate-laden snacks. I had heard stories about the place, but had never ventured up there myself. Word had it that the trail earned its name. There were snakes and other wildlife to be found in the forest, but also fantastic views to be had from the cliff which ran alongside the trail. What drew me in more than anything were the caves. The place was pockmarked with them. They dotted the trail and could be found all over the area. From the pictures I had seen, it was a very unusual and alien-looking landscape. Like a termite mound, tunnels opened up here and there along the topside, while on the other, a sheer cliff dropped away a couple 100 feet to the forest floor below. There was not one other person on the trails with me. I had the forest to myself as I made my way down the path. I saw the first of a few caves and tunnels, small ones. The bigger caves were further in, I knew from my research. The snakes didn't scare me so much, as I knew that rattlesnakes emitted a noise when they heard a predator coming. So I just listened carefully for that soft rattling sound, and prepared myself to stop on a dime if needed. Making my way through the brush was easy enough, as there was a path wide enough for a person or two to travel along, although occasionally branches reached across and had to be pushed aside. I walked along that way for an hour or more, just enjoying the trees and the birds singing in the branches. To my left was a breathtaking view that showed forest as far as the eye could see, and above that a beautiful blue sky with white puffy clouds that were blowing lazily along. Going around a corner, I heard a distinctive rattling noise coming from up ahead. Slowing down until I was barely moving, I approached it. A large rattlesnake on the path up ahead. I reached into my pocket, thinking I would take a picture of it with my phone, and realized I had forgotten the damn thing in the car. It had been poking my thigh in an uncomfortable way, and I had gotten frustrated with it and set it in the cup holder. Ah well, I told myself. Just enjoy the moment. You don't need to take a picture of it. After a steep uphill climb, I found a rock to sit on, and decided to relax for a little while. I was glad I had my canteen with me, as my throat felt dry and harsh already, but was soothed with a couple of sips of cold water. During the entire hike up until that point, I had not seen a single person. I was beginning to think I should come back to this place again soon, since it was so quiet, when the rock I was sitting on began to tip backwards. Before I could grab onto anything, the loose ground beneath the rock gave way, and I was falling. With nothing to stop my descent, I went straight down the steep hill behind where I had been sitting. I began to bounce wildly into the air as I picked up speed. My body tumbled and pinwheeled down the steep slope. The last thing I remembered was the skull-splitting pain of my head hitting a tree, my jaw snapping shut too hard with a sickening sound. And then the world went black. I woke up in a dark pit. Light was visible streaming in through a distant gap up above, but other than that, I could see nothing. Shrouded in total darkness, I could barely see my hand in front of my face. And then I heard the sound coming from all around me. The soft rattling sound of not one or two snakes, but hundreds of them. Thousands, perhaps. As my eyes adjusted to the light, I found I could see them better. There were so many of them. They were everywhere. My heart was already beating fast, but sped up double time. I could feel it throbbing in my head as well, in my temple and at the back. When I reached back to feel the spot where it hurt, my hand came away warm and wet with blood. The rattling sound was getting quieter, and I realized the snakes were well aware of my presence, but were not attacking me. At least not yet. In the dim light, I could see none of my supplies. The only thing with me was my trusty canteen, clipped to my belt with a sturdy loop of steel. My backpack was gone. My sunglasses, my hat, everything I had brought with me was gone. and probably went flying off into the forest as I bounced down the hill, knocking myself senseless. I realized with dawning horror that I had not told anyone where I was going. Since I lived alone, it would likely be days before anyone found me. A sick, queasy feeling began to rise up within me, and I felt faint, thinking about the fact that nobody was coming for me. The only thing to indicate I was here was that my car was parked at the side of the road, at the end of a trail that was an hour's walk from where I was. I'm going to die down here, I thought to myself. Sadness and loss began to creep in as I considered all the things I would never get to do. I would never go traveling to Europe or get married. I would never have kids or grandkids. I was going to die down in this pit full of rattlesnakes. Then a thought occurred to me. There might be a way to get out of here, you idiot. You might just have to walk through a pit of snakes and explore a bit. I stood up on shaky legs, and the rattling sound began again in the darkness from all around me. My eyes searched for a place that was free of snakes to put my first step, but I found there was little to speak of. There was no other entrance or exit to the cave that I could see. "You're gonna die down here," said a voice from the darkness. It was gruff and raspy like a lifetime smoker, and had a harsh British accent. I jumped at the sound of it. "Oh, he's definitely gonna die down here. Ain't no question of that," said another voice from the other side of the cave. "He's a goner, all right. Should have him for supper." The form emerged from the darkness, and I saw it was a man dressed in a white suit. He walked calmly through the writhing, slithering mass of snakes toward me. I saw he was wearing a white bowler cap and carried a cane with him. His face was kindly and clean-shaven, his hair dark and well-kempt. "What's your name, son?" "Dead meat, that's his name. Snake food. Kicking, sniveling rat." "Ignore them. What's your name?" "Oh, come on now. I just haven't had visitors in ages, and that one there has never known how to act properly." The man held his hand out for me to shake it. "Jordan?" I said, taking his hand and allowing him to pump it briskly twice up and down. It felt small and weak in his firm grip. I guessed by this new, unexpected turn of events that I had suffered some severe head trauma. But then, the fact that I recognized this as a distinct possibility seemed to rule it out somehow. Crazy people don't know they're going crazy. Good boy. Man, I should say. You are a man, aren't you?" Yeah? "Well, that's just excellent. Excellent news. You see, we've been waiting for a man. A human man. You are a human as well, aren't you?" Yes?
"Oh, well, see, that's just perfect. Because we've been waiting for a human man to fall down from that hole up there, so that we could..."
He paused and seemed unsure how to continue. So that you could what?
"Oh, well, this is frightfully embarrassing, but here it goes. We need to, sacrifice him."
What?
"Shh, you're gonna scare him off now. Come on, out of the shadows now, you big galoot. I need your muscles. He's gonna be getting all squirrely now, thanks to you and your big mouth."
As I screamed in protest, the rattlesnakes began to rattle and hiss in annoyance. 2 more men came out of the shadows as I wailed and howled for someone to help me. Their giant feet somehow did not crush the snakes, nor did they bite them, for reasons I couldn't understand. My crazed mind told me, though. They have an alliance with them. These are not men. They make pacts with vipers. Instead, I realized as I looked closer, these were not men, but something else entirely. And they had been waiting for a long time for someone like me to fall down this hole. Perhaps they had set it all up, arranged the precarious rock at the top of a steep hill, begging for someone to rest on it, booby-trapped it to cause someone to fall down a steep hillside behind it. The pieces came together in my mind as they stomped toward me through the pit of snakes. These other 2 wore charcoal black suits, and the floor shook as they marched toward me. Demon goons with wide jaws and shoulders to match.
"Grab him up now. We'll take him to Mother. She'll reward us after this tasty morsel. Come on, quickly now."
"Hello?" called a voice from up above. I was too shocked to call back for a moment, and then a rope fell down and dangled in front of me. Grabbing onto it, I yelled up to the light in the ceiling to pull me up. Looking around desperately, I readied myself to fight off the creatures, but they were gone. It was like they had vanished into thin air. The light above grew larger and larger, and I hung onto the rope for dear life as I was pulled out. Looking down, I could see nothing but snakes. Hundreds upon hundreds of them. The man who pulled me out said he heard me screaming bloody murder and had ran down the hill to help me out. He was a hobbyist caver, so luckily he had ropes and other equipment with him, as well as 2 friends who followed after him and assisted in rescuing me from the cave. It turned out that although very few hikers visited Rattlesnake Point, it was a popular destination for cavers and spelunking enthusiasts. That was what the 3 men were there to do. My screams had caught them in their tracks, though. "That's a nasty cut on your head," one of the men said to me as they assisted me down the path. "Yeah, I guess I'm lucky to be alive after that fall. After seeing all those snakes down there." "Oh no, did you get bit?" I raised up my pant legs to look for the first time and saw they were swollen and red, weeping pus and blood and serous fluid. Bite marks could be seen in several places. "You better dial 911, said one of the men before the world went black, and I passed out for the second time that day. I woke up at St. Joseph's, hooked up to IVs and a heart monitor. The nurses told me I was in the ICU, and that I had been there for days, delirious and screaming about snake demons and human sacrifices. I apologized profusely. The hospital food has been decent, better than my usual microwave fare at home. And I got to keep my legs at least, so that was a real plus. Next Monday is my discharge date, and even though I'm scared, I want to go out to the woods again. I've always loved walking in nature. I can't wait to get back out hiking again. But one thing's for sure, I'll never go back to Rattlesnake Point. Hey guys, story number 2 is a fun one today. If you're enjoying today's video, I hope you'll subscribe, leave a quick comment below. I was just looking the other day and saw that almost half the people who watch the channel aren't subscribed, so please, if you enjoy my videos, I hope you'll take a quick second just to hit that subscribe button. Okay, now on to our second story. Help. Someone, please help. Okay, I gotta calm down. I came in here for a drink, since I ran out and the liquor stores are all closed after 9 p.m. where I live. This tavern looked quaint and inviting. The outside was black stone, and there were 2 statues of devious-looking bronze imps flanking the front door, beckoning me in. They caught my eye when I saw them a few weeks ago. A little flourish of creativity that made a mundane place stand out and look different. Once I got inside, the bartender gave me a polite nod and a little wave to say hello. There were a few other patrons scattered around, none looking too cheerful. But then again, it was a Tuesday night and we were all in a dive bar, so nothing really to be too excited about. Still, the man behind the counter gave me a pleasant enough grin, and the bottles behind him looked full and plenty. The glasses were clean, and he fulfilled my request for a gin and tonic, adding a lime for garnish as I had hoped he would. I sat down on the bar stool and looked around, sipping my drink. The people around me looked odd for some reason. The man closest to me looked over in my direction. His eye was milky white, and his face looked loose, like a rubber Halloween mask that didn't quite fit right. The skin appeared ready to fall off his face. Clumps of hair fell out when he rubbed his beard thoughtfully. The man spoke, and his words sounded like someone drowning.
Fresh face. Have you been with us for long? I didn't see you come in."
He got up and stalked toward me. I tumbled from my bar stool, terrified. The pain of landing on the floor was quickly overcome by adrenaline when I saw the other patrons had now noticed me too. In the dim light, I hadn't seen their hideous faces, their dismembered forms, the jaundiced and decaying skin that glimmered with too much sweat in the dim light as they approached me. Their eyes were milky white like cataracts as well. They held their drinks up high and handed me mine from the counter. Or at least, I thought they were going to. They tossed it in my face instead. It went painfully up my nose and into my eyes.
Aren't you thirsty? Have a drink.
They clustered around me, laughing and spilling their foul-smelling liquors all over me as I crab-walked backwards away from them, terrified for my life. There was something wrong with all of them. Their faces were distorted and tumorous, the features too large and the skin the wrong color. Bulbous red noses and rotten teeth, sunken skulls dotted with pencil-lead thick blackheads. I wanted to get out of this place so badly. Stumbling to my feet, I ran for the door. At least, where I thought the door had been. But it was like a cruel trick. Like a funhouse at a carnival where you run into a mirror thinking that's where the way out should be. My memory. I guess it isn't what it used to be. Sometimes when I'm drinking, I can't remember what happened 5 seconds ago, let alone 5 minutes ago. Maybe the door is over there, I thought to myself. Perhaps I just got turned around somehow. I got up and bolted across the room to the other side where I figured the door leading out had to be. There were only so many options after all. Instead of a door, there was only another table full of patrons. Their cackles rang loud in my ears as I backed away from them. The place had been nearly empty when I walked in. Now there were mutants everywhere. I just drank too much, I told myself, stumbling away from that spot to another likely way out. But I already knew something was very wrong. There was no way out. Not anymore. Every wall of the tavern was windowless and without doors. The patrons were all laughing and ignoring me again, drinking their viscous, tarry-looking drinks. They appeared to me like evil creatures from a fairy tale suddenly, like trolls keeping me locked up here. Or imps, perhaps. Have a drink, the voice from behind me said, its tone silky smooth and bubbling with generosity. We have all your favorites, and you can stay here with us for as long as you like. Become a channel member today for early access, bonus videos, and special emojis only available to members. Check out the description below or click the join button for more info. If you'd like another way to help support the channel, please consider joining my Patreon page at patreon.com/JordanGroupeHorror. As a patron, you'll get access to bonus videos and content. You'll be credited at the end of every video going forward, and if you decide to stay for 3 months, I'll name a character after you which will be featured in a Hollow's End story. Links to join the Patreon are in the description. Thanks everyone for listening. Please like, subscribe, and comment to help the channel continue to grow, and see you again next time at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope you have a great night.